Hey, this is Yaz here at 90.3 WMSC, and today I'm joined virtually with a very special guest, one that I've been hoping to interview ever since I came across her music, the poetic, soul-stirring Silvana Estrada. Before we dive into the interview, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you. I'm here in Austin, just enjoying the city, and yeah,
That's
fine.
awesome. So you said that you're in Austin right now, and you've been going on tour, so how are you enjoying the States overall?
Well, every time that I'm playing in a city, because this tour it has been so demanding that I cannot actually get to know the city. So I'm developing like this passion to, for all this travel to just to come back to all these places and actually get to know them. And it has been so much fun, and it has also been really intense. So yeah, I feel like I need to come back to a lot of cities here in the United States just to get to know, the people, the culture, the places.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like you do have two more concerts left, one in Denver and one in Salt Lake City. So, with
Yeah.
everything starting to wrap up, how are you feeling? What are the emotions that are starting to occur right now?
Well, a lot of you know, I don't know if this is an emotion, but I feel like I need to be so concentrated,
Mhm.
because I have so much concerts, and finishing this I'm going to Europe, and finishing to Europe I'm going to tour Mexico, which is like it's a huge country just like this one.
Right.
So I feel like I need to be so concentrated in order to take care of my voice, take care of my body, take care of
Right.
my soul also, because I don't want to lose like the feeling of, oh my god, I'm on the stage, this is a miracle,
Mhm.
in a way I don't want to get too much used to it.
Yeah, I mean, you did mention that you're going to be going on tour in Mexico, and you just completed your solo North American tour, Marchita. I was actually lucky enough to attend the Music Hall of Williamsburg concert, and I've said it.
Oh really?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And I've said it so many, like a million times to everyone I know that it was hands down the best concert I've been to. So this is a tough question, but what would you say was your favorite or one of your favorite venues to perform in, and why?
Well, definitely that one, the
Mhm.
the Williamsburg there in Brooklyn. That was very special to
Yeah.
me. A lot of people, a lot of people from many places,
Mhm.
a lot of energy. I felt so welcome, on stage. So, and Brooklyn, New York, it's an area that is very important to me.
Mhm.
um and then probably the concert that I did in San Francisco, it was also like very moving. It was completely crowded, people were like just very excited, and it's all about
Yeah.
the energy. So I feel like, yeah, um I don't know, also Portland, Seattle, like, um I literally a lot, literally every city. But
Yeah.
now I can remember, especially, yeah, Williamsburg and then San Francisco were my favorite.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, back in Brooklyn, it's funny that you said how you felt welcomed on stage because I was going to say that your presence on stage was welcoming and so
Mm.
personable. And I mean, I just have no words to describe it. How did you prepare yourself? What did you do, I guess, before going on stage to be able to present yourself, I guess, in such a vulnerable and open way to your audience, to be able to connect with them in such a manner?
Well, I don't know if I have a preparation, but and you're right. I feel like my performance is very intimate, and intimacy, it's always vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, I put myself in this very vulnerable position every time that I'm on the stage. But before to get to the stage, I do really silly things, maybe in order to remind me that I'm just a human being,
Mm.
just like anybody in the audience. I Every time I'm trying to break down like this space between the audience and the artist. For me, in my concerts, I want to create something more democratic,
Yeah.
like everybody is important, like the energy. Like I cannot be singing without the energy of the people, and the people is feeling all that energy because I'm singing. So it's equally important, and it's like an infinite movement. And so before I get to the stage, I do really really silly things. Really, I dance, I put some cumbias,
Yes.
I laugh a lot, uh, with my bandmates. So yeah, just yeah, I'm just playful.
And before I go on to the next question, you did say something about playing some cumbia and dancing. What are some like of your favorite cumbia songs you like to play before, going on stage?
My favorite one, it's El Niño del Toche
Okay.
from Gustavo Guerrero.
Okay.
Uh, he's my producer.
That's awesome.
Um, and his name, like, if you want to find him, like on Spotify or something like that,
Yeah.
his artist name is Augusto Bracho.
Okay.
So I don't know, and he's my one of my best friends, and he's also friends with all my bandmates.
Okay,
So
cool.
we used to sing this all together, this song. So
Oh.
even if he's not here with us, we sing El Niño del Toche, and we just start to percussion and to dance, and it's
Oh,
really fun.
that sounds like such a great energy. And like that great energy was also presented by your opening act, Lau Noah in Williamsburg. And I mean, my God, her guitar skills are mesmerizing. It's like watching a spider web it was amazing. And I've been looking at artists who can transport me into a story with their music like you do. And then here comes Lau Noah. So how did you meet her?
Well, we have a really crazy story. We met in Guatemala, in Antigua, Guatemala, and we were there performing in the same festival. It's a festival that Gaby Moreno, another great Latino singer and composer, uh, does every year in Guatemala. So we went there together. And also Lau Noa, she was in Mexico. I never met her in Mexico, but the first time I saw her, we were really early in the airport drinking margaritas. so, so yeah, that's our story. And then we spent like 3 days there in Guatemala, just together, just hanging around and playing some beautiful music with other friends of ours. And then first time I listened to her, I was so moved. He has this beautiful manner of telling her own story in her own uh, ways, and her ways are so virtuosa, but also like so mysterious, how
Yes.
you get to think that way.
Yeah. Yeah, she just gave me a lot of like that fairy tale energy. I mean, when she
Yeah.
was on stage, she would give a little story, and the one story that really stuck with me was the one that she gave before performing La Soledad, how she came up with that song. And I still talk about it. And I think those little footnotes, those backstories, play such an important role when listening to a song. It gives a whole other dimension to it. So, for
Yeah.
example, you explained the motivation behind your song Casa. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I was able to connect with it even more so, especially
Mm-hmm.
as a college student. I haven't seen my family in a while. And as a Latina,
Yeah.
we're raised to be really close with our families. So, when there's that distance, it's so foreign to us. So, for those tuning in,
Yeah.
could you tell them the inspiration behind this powerful song?
Well, to me, Casa, it's like a song that I did when I first left home, and I found out like how important is my family to me. And especially in this song, I try to speak a little bit about how especially my parents are like this kind of stars that are starting to fade. I know they are fading, but at the same time their light is so powerful that their light is joining me, and it's going to join me forever, even if they're not there anymore. Because for me it was like the most shocking thing that have ever happened to me, to find out that I'm growing up, but also my parents are growing, and my house is changing, and I'm not there to witness those changes. So every year that I just go back to my hometown, I I see those changes, and I kind of feel sad about it. It's like, oh my God, I don't know this place anymore,
Right.
and this place doesn't know me anymore because I'm also changing. So it's a song about, of course, missing family, but also about changes.
Yeah. It to me when I first listened to it, my first time listening to it, it was melancholy and bittersweet because
Yeah.
taking that time away from of home of comfort, right? It allows you to transform and grow as a person. But then when you go back to it find that sense of grounding and seeing
Yeah.
that change, it hurts a little bit because you kind of miss the past. So
Yeah.
it definitely is a very emotive song. And speaking of emotive, let's really dive into this album. I mean, this album is dominating my repeat Spotify playlist. Songs like Corriente, Saber Olvidar, and of course Te Guardo, they're on there. So Te Guardo is how I first came across your art. It was during this past summer, actually. And I was noticing, compared to the 2018 release, I did notice that in the Marchita album, it has a stronger acoustic folk feel. How did you come about making this decision?
Well, just Te Guardo and Sabré Olvidar. They're songs that I had already recorded and
Right,
actually released them like 4 years ago.
right.
And but those songs are so important in this world, the Marchita world. Uh, for me, Marchita is like a whole story, it's like a compilation of songs that tell a story, that it's my own story. So for me, it was so important to have Te Guardo and Sabré Olvidar in the Marchita world, because they are definitely part of this like love, uh, healing story. So when I first record them in this first EP that I have, Primeras Canciones, I think I was still trying to find their final home, I
Yeah.
was still like exploring. And when I started to create Marchita, like sonically, I felt like, okay, this is home. Like this is their home. So that's why I took that decision. I know it's it's a little bit weird, but for me, it was all about finding them a real home where they could exist forever. Because also, I think the particularity about Marchita is the timeless sound, that drives all the album. And for me, it was very important to have those songs that are, uh, you know, very the center sometimes of this album, and
Yeah.
to have them there in this timeless world so they can age with dignity.
I totally got you on that. I mean, Martita, it's something about it that to me it was so easy to fall in love with because there's
Hmm.
a sense of grounding with it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
raw, it's free, it's emotional. Were there
Yeah.
any certain Latin or Hispanic folk artists that you listen to or pull inspiration from or surround yourself with, whether that's with friends, that maybe played an influence on the sound of Martita and the final outcome of it?
Yes, 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 of course. I mean, um for me, Marchita is like also this kind of um tribute to, I don't know, Mercedes Sosa playing her beautiful voice just with a guitar and a bombo legüero. It's also Violeta Parra creating this beautiful songs just with her cuatro venezolano or with her charango. It's also, as you're saying, my friends influences, like Natalia Lafourcade, like Gustavo Guerrero, my producer, like Alex Ferreira,
Yeah.
David Aguilar. This album is also about this community that we've been creating there in Mexico City with all these singer songwriters, beautiful composers, beautiful singers. Um, we've been developing a really deep um, friendship, and this album is also inspired by them, and this affinity that we feel to or for um, raw sounds, full albums, conceptual albums. And we're all crazy about uh, really organic, folkloric kind of uh, albums. So this album, it was definitely inspired by all those, I don't know, bohemias, all those nights where we just hang with a guitar, with a cuatro, and a lot of vinyls, and we're just singing and listening to music and sharing our new stuff and just talking about what we want with this new song, what we want with this new project. And I think I feel really proud that this album is out, and it's also representing this new young folklore scene in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, there's something about the authenticity that's seen with that folk movement. In an interview with
Mm.
KCRW, you mentioned the power about really utilizing the voice, your voice, and the power of your voice, the volume to
Mm.
really emphasize the emotion rather than, the tech side of it. Would you say it was at all mentally, emotionally, or physically draining after recording such a strong
Mm.
album? And what was it like to finally hear it all together at the end?
The because the process, it has been so long. I recorded this album like 3 years ago,
Wow.
and then I remember I recorded this album in April 3 years ago, and just finishing the album, I did this huge concert in Mexico City in El Teatro Esperanza Iris. And after that, I went for the first time to Spain to do my first tour in Europe, and that was also like pretty big. And for me, I was so shocked, like, how can I be doing all this touring and concerts without having my actual album out? These people is singing what they can find in YouTube, but they're not listening to what I'm really working on. And then the pandemic, then I started to work with my label that was also finishing the contracts took a long. Then the quarantine, the COVID, that was a really tough time to even think about the future and about music. So I can finally uh and the crazy thing is that I feel like I could listen to that album like fully from the start to the end this year. Because I was like so frustrated, like the the 3 years after I recorded, because I was like, no, I don't want to hear it. If I cannot share it, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know about this album.
Right,
I
right.
was kind of angry. So this year in January, when I also Apple Music gave me the opportunity to mix Marchita in audio espacial, in Dolby Atmos, spatial audio.
Yeah.
So I went to the studio to hear the final mix, the Dolby Atmos mix, and for me that was the first time that I could actually enjoy this fully album. Just knowing that it was going to be released, I guess, that same day. And it was like I cried and everything. That was very shocking and moving after waiting all these years, just to know that it's going to be there. And of course, just to know that I did all what I could in order to put the album like in a really good place.
Right.
It's just to have an album is like to give birth. It's like to have a baby.
No,
It's
yeah.
really weird.
No, not at all. I totally understand. You're good. I mean, man, I couldn't even imagine the anticipation though, just the 3 year wait, especially during the pandemic. It's just
Yeah.
it must have been like pulling teeth, like, when is it happening? But this past year, you've had a really busy year. And I mean,
Yeah.
you just released an album, like you said. You've been featured in many presses like Vinyl Me Please, NPR, the New York
Yeah.
Times. Plus, you've just completed a tour. But I am craving for more. So what else is in store for you and your fans?
Well, I have a really nice surprise with Spotify. I
Okay.
think this exact month, so I can wait to share this new something with you. And after that, I have a new EP with all the happy music that I couldn't put in the Marchita album because Marchita, it was so sad, and this music is like so happy and joyful. So yeah, I have like a happy EP coming on, and let's see what's next. I mean, probably this exact month I will be also recording new music, all the songs that I did under the quarantine. So yeah, let's see. I'm excited about this year. A lot of things.
Ooh, good energy then. Good energy.
Thank you.
Bueno, thank you for taking the time to speak with me on behalf of WMSC and all college radio stations. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you, and I'll keep my eye out for Marchita on vinyl, especially since Vinylthon is right around the corner for us here. Once again, thank you so much for sitting down to speak with us.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.